Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 6, titled Live Bait. Now, as I expected, last week when they showed the governor, with all the time that passed, 6 months total, this entire episode had nothing to do with the main characters. It was all governor, him just kind of losing his mind the whole time, and him actually meeting another, group of characters. And this episode was actually really, really good. It started off with him being the governor who lost, and he's in the camp with the guys he left with. The zombies walking at him, and she falls through the fire, and he's just staring at her. And the one guy, he shoots the zombie, and he kind of just looks at the governor like, you're hopeless now. You killed all those people, and you're just watching the zombie walk up to you, and you do nothing. And then the governor goes to sleep in his tent. He wakes up. Those guys left him, and it makes sense because when a guy loses his mind, he kills a ton of people. You aren't gonna stay with that guy, but of course you get in the car because he has an assault rifle and he just shot up like a ton of people from the town. He just shot them all up. So yeah, you get in the car with him and you stay the night, I guess. And so they ditch him because he lost it. He was crazy. And after they do that, he goes back to Woodbury, and he drives through the front gate, just destroys it, and he lights the city on fire. And it kind of explains more so why Rick and his group didn't go back to Woodbury, because I think they did mention that it was kind of destroyed and stuff, and I always wondered, like, they didn't really do anything. Like, I know they killed a bunch of people, and sure, there's zombies on the inside, but they could easily take care of that. But now I get the time that we didn't really get to see, they went back to Woodbury, and the governor had destroyed the city. He ran through, and it's just an open field like any other random place. It's wide open, and he set like pretty much everything on fire. It seemed he was just torching stuff, so it's completely destroyed, and there's nothing they could get out of it. But he does that, and then he's off on his own, and after a certain amount of time, it's just him walking for months, and he grows the beard, long hair, and stuff, and he's just walking past zombies. No weapon. Well, he has a gun on him, but we don't actually see him use the gun at all, which is kind of interesting to me, especially considering how trigger happy of a character he was last season. But he has a gun, which I didn't think he did until he met the other characters and they took the gun off of him, because he just shambled through like the zombies. And when he actually came across the one zombie, it seemed like the zombie was just gonna walk past him because he was just shuffling along. He couldn't even tell, and then it kind of tried to grab him, and he just sort of leans over a little, like does like a low level Resident Evil type move or something, or you just like move past slow moving zombies to save ammo or something, and he's just slinks right past and keeps walking until he sees this girl in the window, and he thinks it's his daughter. And this how they played that scene where the girl's in the window and then she's not, made it seem like he was just imagining it, of course. And then we see there is actually a girl in the window, and it was an actual family. And in the opening scene, he's talking to the woman who's asking him the questions and stuff, and he says, I've been walking for months. I used to live in a town full of people, but the leader kind of just lost it. So he realizes he screwed up. He realizes how bad of a person he really was, not just because his daughter, his zombie daughter, was killed and he lost an eye, but he killed a ton of people in the field, and was just an insane person who wanted to take over the prison and kill these people because they wouldn't give him what he wanted. And he realized that after he was left with nothing. So he joins these two women, sisters, their dad and the one woman's daughter. I guess I'm just gonna assume she was the older sister, but them and her daughter. And he's an okay guy. He's pretty quiet and stuff in the very beginning, and he helps out the father. He gets the backgammon game. He gives them like random lessons, like you have to shoot him in the head to kill him and stuff like that, which I guess they didn't really need that lesson, considering the fact that he does end up taking them with him when he leaves the I guess apartment building. But he helps the father out. He even goes to to like the hospital to get extra tanks for the woman so she can like help her father live for like a day or so longer. And he actually goes to do that. And something that was really cool to me, when their father was dying, he took the girl and he was kind of doing what her grandfather was doing, where he was playing backgammon. The governor decided, I'll play chess and, teach her that. And also a good scene was, when the grandfather died, they didn't know all the lessons where everyone was infected, and, they didn't know that you had to hit him in the head, because how they explain it is as soon as things went crazy, their father just happened to be, a driver for this company that delivered food. So they've just been in this apartment like the entire time, kind of just, surviving, like a lot better than a lot of people have. They've honestly just been living compared to, how most people have to survive. So they didn't know all these lessons, and, the scene where their father dies, he has to, the governor has to like bash his head in, and it's an interesting scene because they have to deal with that, but they do accept the fact that he had to do it because obviously, their dad became a zombie. He's just gonna eat everyone. So it was a good scene. And then of course he decides to leave, but he takes them with him because he has, stayed with them for some amount of time. I thought it covered months, but it didn't, because I just assumed it covered months because he cut his hair and stuff. I was like, oh, he just a long progression of time happened because he, was teaching the girl how to play chess and stuff, and he warmed up to her. I just figured it was a long amount of time, but I think it was, just a couple of days we actually saw that was the actual time, possibly, a week. So maybe a couple of days that we didn't get to see. But, he takes them out. It's fairly simple, of course, and, they're fine, and then the truck stops. So they start walking, they find the horde, and once they start running, they fall into this ditch, and instantly that reminded me of last season, where they would have the giant ditch and let the zombies fall in. And the reason they have that is because the guy who was his second in command, and I honestly think his name was Martinez, he is leading another group. And if you didn't see the preview, he says that he's the one who's leading the group, so that's how I know. But that's why they have the pit, because he kind of took that from when he was with the governor, because it was a useful thing. Zombies walk in, you trap them, and you have less zombies on the planet. It kind of just helps everybody. But when they fall in the pit, that was a crazy scene, because the governor has like some insane like brutality, kills and that, and it's just hand to hand combat, because he lost the second gun that he found when he was in the hospital, so he's just got, like, he had a knife. I guess he just, in the heat of the moment, and just for pure entertainment, he was just like fighting the zombies. But like, bashes the one zombie into like the bones of, old zombies. He like punches the one, or no, he like rips its throat out for the second one, and then the third one, he's like punching that, and I guess he just like bashes its head in, and then the first one, I guess he didn't actually kill it, or it was just a completely different zombie. That gets up and it's about to attack the girl, and he uses just a bone and like rips the head wide open. It was insane. And then that's where the episode ends, where we see Martinez is standing over him, and he's like, holy crap, like, I didn't, like, who would have thought that this guy would survive out on his own. But definitely a great episode. I knew they were going to do that, where it would be, what happened to the governor, because, it's good to show that. It would kind of suck if they did skip over it, as much as I cannot wait to see, what's happening, because I feel like with him being the character he is now, compared to last season, he could just be, like, calm, and, I mean, even if he goes in as a calm guy, Michonne's going to chop him up, so he'll probably be, like, calm now, and then the next episode, if that's the end of it, where it's, this was all him, and then the next part is him with the group, and then him going to the prison at the end of the next week's episode. However that plays out, I think it's going to be like, him as a good guy, or, so-so guy, and then it's going to go right back to him being the typical governor. So I'm excited to see, what happens with next week's episode, because with him being back with his second in command, even if he's not in charge, I feel like his old tendencies are definitely going to come back. So we'll have to wait and see, but love this episode. It was great for the character, him sort of transitioning into a normal person, because he doesn't have any power or anyone, to support him. So it was a really good development for the governor. I'm just excited to see, even though it would kind of suck for him to go back to being just another bad guy, it would also be cool to see, if that is the case, what crazy thing happens again that causes him to just go back, because the girl could die, and then at the same time they could all live and he could still just revert back for some other crazy reason. But comment below, let me know what you thought of this episode. Favorite part, least favorite part. I guess the main question now is, with the governor at the prison, once we get to that, do you think it's going to be him trying to be a good guy, or do you think it's going to be him after another disaster and he's trying to kill everyone at the prison again? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.